like 90% at least.
That's what it is for Lawless. I can fully understand where Staffy and Terry are coming from, because I was literally in a similar situation last year, bro. I was looking at Poch, and again, him and Ten Hag, very, very similar, bro. I actually said Poch was worse than Ten Hag because he made Ten Hag look like fucking Heisenberg when we played these lot away, bro. Yeah, shocking performance against a team that was just losing week in, week out and getting away with wins, right? But when you look at what Ten Hag is doing, bro, you just look at it and think, bro, anyone can do a better job than this. Anyone can do the bare minimum. Like for me personally, I was looking at the likes of Company last season. He would have done a better job than Poch, in my opinion. Thomas Frank would have definitely done a better job than Poch. Even Potter would have done a better job than Poch because the players that we had last year, right? So right now, I think Staffy and Terry, they're in a position where it's like, okay, yes, ideally we would like the Peps and would like the top of the top, the Xabi Alonsos and that. But we just need someone first that can come in, do the bare minimum, stop making football look like rocket science like Poch, like what Ten Hag is doing. You know what I'm saying? Just do the bare minimum. When it comes to press conferences, the communication, again, the injuries as well, stopping all these little intangibles from happening and basically just bringing everyone together and going back to basics, bro. That's what they want. They just want to go back to basics.
Could I that's what a lot of people are not understanding, Don. So
Yeah.
1 second, there.
Yeah.
Because I'm hearing a lot of arguments. People saying, but that's what you said 3 years ago. That's what you said 4 years ago. That's what we said 5 years ago. It is a completely different situation than 3, 4, 5 years ago. 3, 4, 5 years ago, we were getting angry because we were finishing fourth or third, or we were finishing second, but we were about 16 points off City, something like that. These are the things that used to get us angry because we thought we want to take that next level. With Ole made us just a decent enough team. We just knew he wasn't a good enough manager to transition to finally going from counterattack to possession and being that team that dominates the ball that eventually wins the league. We just knew that he was ceiling. The targets back then are completely different than now. Back then, I was complaining about not competing for the league or winning the league. 3 or 4 years later, I am complaining about not playing decent football. People don't understand. I went from complaining about not eating enough steak to now I'm complaining that I'm starving and my fridge is empty. That is how low we have dropped as a football team. And that's why the targets are different. 3 years ago, I would have never entertained the idea of a Thomas Frank. But right now, I know that he does the minimum, which he makes us a decent team that plays football, that is not -3 goal difference, that is not getting pammed every week, home and away in Europe or in England. And that's I feel like that's where United fans lost the vision. We are not in the same issue that we had 3 years ago.
No, I totally agree, and I think that there are still United fans that I understand wanting Ten Hag to turn this round, because ideally I would want him to turn it around. I don't want him to fail, but I don't see him turning it around. Like, I'd love to play brilliantly tomorrow and win, and then we kick on from there and become great. But do I believe it's going to happen? No, I'd be lying to myself if I thought it would. So what I want and what I feel will happen are two very different things indeed. Some super chats here. First one says, afternoon, Terry and the TFT crew. Lawless. DOI. Okay. Do you think we'll come to West Ham in a minute, because I hate crossing topics. It's something about that makes my skin crawl. I don't know why. I just like ending one and moving on to another. This here says that's about Chelsea. Sorry, we're not going to do any of the super chats because we'll come into them later. They're not on the United stuff. But Terry and Staffy, the plastics masquerading as United fans. We laugh at these gestures. Catch both and lump up both. Not the size of tennis balls. Both will look like pufferfish. Oh, he's getting a course, bruv. I'd love to see you try. I've done it on many other shows. I've given out the address of my office many times. Come down and see me. Nobody ever turns up. Telephone tough guy.
That's what that was, a threat, because I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about.
Yeah, probably weird. But
I get these all the time, bro. They're like, when you show up to England, this and that. Bro. I'll tell you and tell everyone else. You ain't doing shit when I show up to England.
Ten Hag said he and INEOS are on the same page. He is not going anywhere, though. It truly seems like they're giving him time. Listen, we'll see with that. We will see with that. I can't comment any further on that.
Like I said, they sacked Ferguson before Ten Hag. It speaks volumes about it.
It doesn't though. The Fergie stuff's right, and keeping him out the dressing room's right. Do you know what's really funny, right? Do you want to know why? Go and watch it. It's really fun watch. Fergie sat down with TNT Sports and spoke to Ali McQuest. And do you know what he said? And this is why taking football advice off of Fergie in the last, especially the last 5 or 6 years, which includes when we re-signed Ronaldo, was stupid. Fergie's got an opinion because he sits as a non-executive board member, so we can give opinions, right? He's involved. He literally said, when he was asked, what have you been doing the last 11 years? He said, I go to a lot of games. He says, but I have stopped watching football from the perspective of, goes, in the last 11 years, I've not studied the formation, the tactic changes, players in any great detail. I just sort of turn up for the match. And he says, it was the other day I was listening to Frank. He said, I was listening to Frank Lampard do some punditry, and I was so impressed with how he broke down the tactics. And he was like, maybe I should spend a bit of time sort of relearning football again in that way. And when I heard that, I thought, fair enough, he's retired. He doesn't need to keep up to date with what's going on. If you left recruitment, Don, you might not keep up with the day-to-day ins and outs of the industry, right? But then I'm thinking, imagine the Man United board, up until the new one, INEOS, allowing someone who is not involved in football anymore to still be involved in football fucking decisions. That is how we've ended up here. Genuinely, not just that reason, but that is a telltale sign. We basically took his advice on signing Ronaldo, when at that point, that was about 7-8 years after he retired. And at no point had he really kept up to date with what was going on in the game. And we went, oh, Fergie thinks it's a good idea. It must work. It's like, bruv, he's retired for a reason. He ain't, when I saw that, I was like, wow.
They should have kept him as an ambassador, though. Do you know what I mean? A spokesperson, ambassador for the club and things like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, keep him on in that capacity, not necessarily.
He is. They're just not paying him £3 or £4 million a year to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not wrong. He's worth 80 million quid. Why are we giving him, like, for me, this is the way I look at it. See, I'm looking at it this way. If I'm worth 80 million pounds, okay, let's just scale it down. I'm worth 8 million. I'm at 8 million pounds in the bank. I've sold the football Terrace to somebody, and they're like, Terry, we'd love to keep you on as like a consultant. But imagine that, Terry, look, we're really struggling financially to like pay everyone and FFP, we're paying you like 100 grand a year to be this like consultant. I love the football Terrace with all my heart. If I was worth that much money, I'd be like, do you know what? I'll still do it for free. Fergie loves Man United. He doesn't need £2 or £3 or £4 million a year, and he shouldn't have access to the dressing room, and he shouldn't be making football decisions.
It sounds like Man United need that money more than he does, because it's cancelling parties and things like that.
All of us, hang on, but all of us do. All of our clubs do. Do you know how close most clubs are to FFP? Like Chelsea selling off assets, Man United, we're all really close to it. So yes, 4 or 5 million off Fergie. You might spend, say, 3 and 4 million here, another 100,000 there, another 10 million there. All you
Christmas
start doing
parties,
that,
though, Terry. Like we're getting that desperate. We're canceling Christmas parties.
So what? Yeah, why not? Why not? I don't care.
Come on,
but hang on, but you got to think about this, right? The footballers will have their own private. Again, this is why I think we're loose. We are thinking about this like it's us at work. These are collectively, these footballers, how much are these footballers worth collectively, do you think? They're probably, between all of them, easily got £200 million in the bank. Why do they need the club to pay out £1 million for some dinner when they're already that rich? They're not working class people.
A lot of these parties, though, include the dinner lady.
Wait, Lula, let's go back a little bit. Did you say there's no need to cancel the Christmas party?
I'm just saying it comes across it comes across desperate, in a desperate situation. It comes across like they're in serious financial issues. We're not canceling Christmas parties. You know what I mean? We're not, sacking off legends. What one of your legends were you paying £5 billion? Who's worth £80 million himself? But you can't say we're not doing it and then not do the same comparison. You can't change the comparison. How many ex-legends of yours? Hang on. How many ex-legends of yours are being paid £3 or £4 million a year while they're already worth £80 to £90 million? Who are they? No, I don't think what they're worth is relevant. I think what you're paying
relevant.
Them is relevant. No, it's not
relevant. It is relevant. It is relevant.
Why is how much he's worth relevant to what you're paying him? That doesn't matter if you're paying someone to do a job.
Because have you not looked at the problems Man United have got financially, Lawless? We are because of the Glazers and what they've done to us for 17 years. We are sailing so close to the wind. We have to save the money. I don't know why this is so hard to understand.
Yes, no, I get that. But what he's worth has no bearing on that, because he's worth 80 million.
It did. I'll tell you as to why. No, it does. Because if he was an ex-legend, like Nobby Styles, God rest his soul, it was an ambassador we were paying 100 grand a year to. All those ex-players of that age group, most of them were broke. Most had no money.
I would be devastated if we took that away from someone who made this club what it was. But not if they're worth £80 million. They don't need the money. So I'm not worried about them. Fergie's doing the same job for free. Why does it matter? He doesn't need the money. I don't understand why this has become such a talking point.
If he's willing to do it
And
for
Terry,
free,
there's no reason. There's no reason paying him anyway, because if he's literally coming out here and saying that he's not really looking at the game tactically anymore, which basically shows me that he hasn't evolved as a manager. I think Fergie left at the perfect time. You know what I mean? What you didn't want with Fergie was for him to end up like a Wenger, where Wenger should have left a lot earlier. Then in the end, he had a lot of Arsenal fans that forgot about all the great that he did for United. Fergie knew when to leave, bro. He won the league and man dipped out. If he stayed longer than that, bro, he might not have been able to evolve a little bit more.
Fergie has no obligation. Fergie has no obligation to evolve as a manager when he's retired. He's retired, right? But when you hear him say,
that's my point. He shouldn't be getting paid.
That's
every reason why you shouldn't be paying him.
Ambassador, but we do pay our ambassadors. But we are paying the ambassadors who played in a generation where they didn't make a lot of money. They're skint, right? I'd rather take Fergie's 4 or 5 million a year and pay that to ex-pros that played for us at a skint. That's a better use of that money, in my opinion, than giving it to someone worth £80 million. It's crazy to me. Like, there's no reason to give Fergie any money.
What's he getting paid for? What's he getting paid for then, Terry?
To be an ambassador, and occasionally give advice. He really does. Look, we're going to run out of time on the whole show if we don't move on from Manchester United. It's why I fucking hate talking about it. It just makes me so fucking angry all the time, I tell you. It gets on my tits. It really, really does. We do the right thing, we get slagged off. We do the wrong thing, we get slagged off. It fucking annoys me so much.
You're the biggest club in the world. You're under a microscope. You got to expect.
Well, then, when we're the biggest club in the world, and we say that, stop fucking pushing back against it, everybody. When we say we're the biggest, I'm talking generally here. When we say we're the biggest in the world, no, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. Then we get crazy scrutiny. But you're the biggest in the world. Which fucking is it? Are we the biggest in the world or not? Everyone say it with chest or shut the fuck up about my football club. It gets on my nerves. It really gets on my fucking nerves. Everyone's got a right. No, but everyone's got a right to have an opinion on everybody else's club. But you can't 1 minute say we're not the biggest in the world, but then when we get ridiculous scrutiny, say, well, that's because you're the biggest in the world. You either got to always say we're the biggest or shut up on that subject matter. It gets on my tits. Not anyone on the panel per se, just in general. It gets on my nerves. We've done the right thing. We are low on cash because the owners that you've all called good for years, all you rivals have told us that our owners, the Glazers, are good after the money that they have hemorrhaged out the club. They've left us in a point where we are sailing close to the sun financially. We start cutting back so that we don't break the rules and get points deductions, and we're being slagged off for it. Where was this energy when these scumbags were running us into the ground? Your so-called biggest, you're the biggest club in our country, Terry. You're a beacon to us all. You know, who we all look up to. Where was your energy when we were being run into the ground by the Glazers? That's why when it comes to the ownership of my club, I have such a bee in my bonnet, because you said nothing when we were being run into the ground. Now people are trying to improve it. They've done great work some places, some things that they've made mistakes on. They're getting more scrutiny than the pricks that put us into this position. And it pisses me off. It really gets on my nerves. The media do it. I see INEOS get far more scrutiny than I ever saw the Glazers get in 6 months, compared to nearly 20 years of absolutely pillaging this football club. It gets on my tits, I tell you. It absolutely gets on my tits, the way people do that. It honestly, no word about those leech blood-sucking But yet INEOS make 1 or 2 mistakes or cancel a Christmas party. Oh my God, terrible owners. The Glazers got praise. At least they spend. Fuck you, man. Fuck you.
I'm glad you got that off your chest. Some Friday fire. Love it.
See what you did, Lawless?
Usually it's you I'm riding up.
Fuck you, Lawless is such a wind-up.
I've been holding it in. No, I've been holding it. Do you know what it is? It's not even fans. Rivals be rivals, right? And everyone's allowed an opinion on everybody else's clubs, right? Someone will clip that up, man. But you get opinions on other people's. It's the media. I get the scrutiny that INEOS are getting at times on certain decisions. But the fact they get more scrutiny than I've ever seen the Glazers get, it honestly makes my skin crawl. Moving on from Man United.